Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 20 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. A little bit of a milestone, humble brag. Every 10 or so is it's always like a nice little number. I think including Pro-Am, is this 70 ish? I think did we pass 50?
Yeah, that would be pretty. We got pretty close, if not. So I would definitely say around the 70. But it's kind of fitting that this is a milestone pod. Would you?
Oh, Ryan, you rascal! What a great lead in to what this pod is going to be all about. It's been a minute. We haven't done a pod since I think last Tuesday, maybe even last Sunday. And a lot of stuff has happened with regards to players hitting season and career milestones, which is kind of how it goes in the latter stages of the season. Guys start hitting 50 goals, 60 goals in some cases. Guys hit 100 points. Defensemen hit 100 points. What did he say? Players, just a lot of stuff going on an individual basis. A wins record was broken and looks like it might get shattered, given that they still have 2 more games left. Shattered being put in quotation marks, but you know what I mean? So honestly, Ryan, how are you doing? But keep it short because we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I am doing quite all right. Unfortunate that our Ottawa Senators have been eliminated from playoff contention, but we're getting a clear picture of what we're going to get.
I guess that happened in the time since our last pod.
Yep. It did. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but we move on and the hockey world is still ticking. So let's get into talking
still
about
some stuff to cheer for though. Last night at the game against, who did they play? No, don't tell me. Why am I forgetting this right now? This is brutal.
This man was
at the game and I'm forgetting who they played.
Where he got that sick bucket.
I'm literally not remembering. No, I got this one at the Tampa game. Oh, Carolina. Claude Giroux went into the game with 998 points, needing obviously 2 more to reach 1,000. Thanks for the maths. And about 2.5 minutes into the game, I want to say, he scored a goal. He scored right off the bat. And that was because I kind of forgot. I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that he could get to 1,000. And then he scored the goal. I was like, wait a second. We got another 57 and a half minutes.
It clicked in real
57 and a half minutes for this boy to get to 1,000. And then I think it was in the second period on a really nice sort of tic-tac-toe-ish kind of play between Brady, Giroux, and Stützle. Stützle buries one with G gets the primary assists, and for his 1,000th point, the whole bench clears. Stützle was ready to celebrate like normal. Giroux and Brady were going at him to celebrate, and then he kind of ducked the celebration to go get the puck, and then everyone came on the ice. This is really cool. I assume you watched it and saw it all, but so we'll get your thoughts.
Yeah, I just thought you could tell it was planned because G is one of those guys that he just never wants to celebrate anything what he would deem small and individual, right? So it was pretty cool to see the guys go out of their way. Like you said, Timmy completely ducked the celly for him to go get the puck while Brady was waving the whole bench onto the ice. So no, it was pretty cool. It almost seemed rehearsed. So it was cool to see them give G his moment. And honestly, there's not as a Sens fan, I can't remember the last time I would have got a major milestone like that where it's celebrate. I can't think of something like that in recent memory, anyways.
Well, I mean, it's been kind of a fun year for big moments like that. Obviously, playing 1,000 games isn't on the same level. But I mean, Brassard hit 1,000 games earlier this year, which was cool.
But the stop and full team selling in the middle of a game, right? I can't remember anything that recently. So that was really cool to see for your team, to just watch as a fan.
You only really get that too with stuff like 500 goals, 1,000 points, stuff like that. And so I guess maybe the last time that would have happened for Ottawa would have been Alfredsson, and I don't even really remember that. So,
yeah, and his 400th goal was an OT winner, so that wouldn't have really been the case.
I don't think that 400 goals is like a benches clearing moment.
I think it could be. Yeah,
not in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Did Tampa clear the bench for Stamkos' 500th and 1000th? Because he hit both of those this year, I think.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna check really quickly. I know he hit 500 goals this year. He's hit 1,000 points, 1,000 games, and 500 goals all this season. That's actually fun. Crazy. That's so cool. I don't know if they cleared the bench for any of those. They wouldn't have for 1,000 games, obviously, but yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, big night for Giroux, obviously. What a freaking signing. I guess we can kind of like, I don't know, just like, dude is, I mean, he's put up 100 points before, but like he's having like his third or fourth best season of his career. This is a Hall of Famer. Borderline.
His 2 goals last night tied his career high.
That's ridiculous.
Like he's at 34 goals. It's crazy. I never would have like guessed he ever would have been this productive. I was hoping for like a 20 goal, maybe 50 points.
I was expecting 60
that would have
points. That's what my expectation was. Yeah. But then going down in future years.
My expectations were low. I was not expecting to get a borderline point per game player.
And it was cool. They gave him the little tribute video in the second period. They must have had that ready, obviously. And just showing his highlights from when he was a Philly. So just such a different player. Like he used to be so quick and speedy, and just so skilled. And now he's just so like calm, even keeled, etc. Yeah, so just really good stuff from Giroux this season. And last night it was cool to see him sort of like get his probably biggest moment so far as a Senator. All right, let's move on to the other guy that hit 1,000 points last night, Joe Pavelski. You mentioned first time that 2 players ever hit the milestone the same night.
Yeah, I think I know it's in the 90s, so if I don't get it exactly right, don't go and call me out on Twitter or something. But I think it was 96 and 97th all time to get 1,000th points, and the first ever to do it on the same night.
That's super cool. Joe Pavelski's another guy too who's had such an underrated career.
Underrated.
I don't think of him. I don't hold him like I don't think of him as a 1,000-point player at all, and it's kind of crazy just because like he's never really had that sort of peak season that you think about when you think of 1,000 points. But he's just like he's 38 years old and he's just as good as he was 10 years ago. So it's just it kind of comes with the consistency, right? So,
like every year I feel like I look at his stat line at the end of the year and be like, okay, there's no chance he does that.
And then he does it again next year.
And then just does it again next
insane.
Year.
Yeah, he's I don't know. That'd be an interesting conversation to have. Like, are Giroux and Pavelski Hall of Famers for you?
I don't know. I don't know Pavelski's stuff off the top of my head enough to really make an argument for him. I would like to say that Giroux is close, but I can't think of any major.
He doesn't have an Art Ross. He does. I thought he might have had an Art Ross, but he does not.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't have a cup. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you aware of that like Hall of Fame predictability account on Twitter? So it has Pavelski as a Hall of Famer, according to however it calculates that. So I would assume
in my head I would want to say yes, but I hesitate because I don't know the stuff.
I think that given the fact that Pavelski makes it according to their sort of model, I would think Giroux is sort of above Pavelski in terms of career. But that'll be an interesting conversation to have in about, 10 years, depending on how long Pavelski plays. But for Giroux, certainly 10 years. And then the third big milestone that was reached last night, well, fourth if you have Sportsnet. The third big milestone. Did you see that graphic?
Yeah.
So just for some context, Sportsnet, aka LeafsNet, put up a graphic at the end of the night during the 10 o'clock games, I think, saying Giroux, Pavelski both hit 1,000 points, And Erik Karlsson became the first defenseman since Brian Leetch in like 1991 or 1992 to hit 100 points. And all three of them did it in the same night. And they somehow justified including Austin Matthews hitting 40 goals in that graphic. So all four of those players hit that number on the same night. And it's just kind of insane that you include a guy hitting 40 goals who literally hit 60 goals last year, acting as though that's some type of impressive feat, especially this type of season when everybody's scoring 30 goals. So, like, get out of here.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like, I was writing down all of the different milestones I kind of wanted to touch on today, and I was straight up, like, leaving out 40-goal scores.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like, 40-goal milestones because I can't write them up. We can't touch on it.
There's literally too many. It's insane.
Too many.
Yeah. But yeah, so Erik Karlsson becoming the first defenseman since Brian Leetch to hit 100 points. I was so happy to see that he got it. I had he was going to, like, I think it was kind of a given unless he'd have gotten hurt. His pace was just incredible. And he's done it in a very unconventional way. I mean, playing for the lottery-bound Bedard-watch San Jose Sharks. They trade Timo Meier at the deadline. He's been in trade rumors all year. That's Erik Karlsson's been in trade rumors all year. And I don't know, 4 years after his career was deemed dead because of injury. Like, it's insane. Maybe not four. Basically since he's gotten to San Jose, he's been injury plagued. And this is like probably his first or second healthy season there, and he's putting up 100 points, and it's just so sick to see.
Did you kind of see the major discourse that was going on today? I assume it was because he hit 100 points last night. Just so many people debating whether or not he should be getting the Norris just purely because of point production. But like, that's how it's been decided for the last like 10 years. So I don't know why you change it now and screw him out of one when you already screwed him out of one by giving it to Doughty because he was due. Like, I don't know.
I agree. Like, I agree that he shouldn't get the Norris under, like, if the Norris was properly awarded every year. But given the precedent that they've set, Erik Karlsson is a must-win for the Norris this season.
Yeah, exactly. That is perfect. That was the perfect explanation.
They need to introduce a separate award. They need to introduce, like, an Art Ross for defensemen. That would literally be sick. Do a Norris trophy so that Adam Fox can win his second Norris trophy this season, or whoever else you want to win the Norris trophy. And then Erik Karlsson wins the Brian Leetch trophy, or the Erik Karlsson trophy, given that he just put up 100 points. You can name it after him, or the Bobby Orr trophy, or whatever you want to call it. Make an Art Ross for defensemen. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right now, the Norris has been completely taken over by the new age defensemen, and rightfully so in some aspects. But it's kind of tipped too far in that it's completely considering point production when that's not all the new age defenseman is, but that's all people are really considering. Which is, like, it is what it is. It's not ideal, but he should win it based on that. That is how it's been voted on for the past however many years. But you're right. There needs to be some sort of distinction because I don't want to have this conversation every year. Like, it's amplified this year because it's Karlsson hitting 100
and because
points.
His defensive metrics are so bad. It's a combination.
Yeah, but I also remember it was a conversation last year when Roman Josi was approaching maybe 100 points, right? Like, it's always a conversation, and it's not going to stop being one until somebody addresses it.
And the thing that's crazy, too, is that the way that the Norris is voted on, it's very much just who had the most points for defensemen, more or less.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
The problem with that is that it doesn't really sort of encapsulate the best defenseman in the league. Because there's a non-zero chance.
It's either who has the most or who's due. Because
that's where I was going to get.
Most didn't get it, but Makar was kind of due.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it's the problem is that a guy like I'm just going to throw some names, and I think these guys should win a Norris in their career, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, because they don't put up 70, 80 points in a season like the Makars and the Foxes and the Dahleens are going to. Like Miro Heiskanen, that guy might have a hard time winning a Norris Trophy in his career.
Name.
Charlie McAvoy is another one. He might have a hard time winning a Norris Trophy in his career because these guys don't put up 70, 80 point seasons. They're in the 50 to 65 range, which is still elite for offensive production.
Yep.
And their defensive production is just otherworldly compared to the guys that are going to be winning the Norrises, but those aren't the sexy stats that the Norris voters like. And
like you don't see guys like Ryan McDonough winning Norris. You just don't.
And like Chara. Zdeno Chara has 1 Norris Trophy in his career. Nicholas Lidstrom has 7.
Yeah,
those guys should have the same amount of Norris trophies, if not very close to each other. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, their careers are very similar in terms of the range in which they played. That could be completely wrong. That's just off the top of my head. Just looking at it, Chara played from 97 until 2022, so he went a lot longer than Lidstrom did. And Lidstrom played from... Okay, there's an offset of about 5 years. So from 92 to 2012, Lidstrom won 7 Norris trophies and Zdeno Chara won 1. Those are 2 of the top 10 defensemen ever. Like, I just think Chara should have 2 Norris trophies. And the reason he doesn't is because he's arguably one of the best defensive defensemen ever, and his career high for points is like 50 or something.
Duncan Keith got 1, right? That man should have. Did he?
No, he definitely got 1. I'm gonna check if he got 2.
Okay.
He's 2. He won in 2010 and 2014.
Okay, he did get 2. I was gonna say that man probably should have more than he has. So
he had 69 nice points in 2010, and he had 61 in 2014. Which was like really good for defensemen back then. That was kind of like when scoring was really down, and Jamie Benn was winning a Norris Trophy or an Art Ross Trophy with 87 points.
This might be a tough ask on the spot, but would you be able to find how many points Doughty had when he won it over Karlsson? Because I think that was the year Karlsson had some like crazy assists.
I think Karlsson was point a game that year. Drew Doughty had 51 points, 14 of them goals in 82 games that season. Erik Karlsson had...
This one will bother me until the day I die.
Was it 15-16 that I just said?
Yeah.
Karlsson had a point a game, 16 goals, more goals.
Yeah. Yeah, he beat him in every stat category, but Doughty didn't have one
But
yet.
That's the flaw with the Norris Trophy, because you could probably argue, again, this was like however many years ago, and defensive metrics are hard to measure, and also analytics weren't that as big back then. But like Drew Doughty probably might have been Drew Doughty's like career is probably a little bit better than Erik Karlsson's in terms of like cups, Norris trophies, etc., etc. So Drew Doughty's a guy that you want to have a Norris Trophy at some point in his career. And it's justified to be annoyed at him winning one over Karlsson that year, but it sort of speaks to the fact that there needs to be an Art Ross Trophy for defensemen.
You're right. You're completely right. And I'm going to say that my grudge is completely justified because, like, if there's any year that, sure, give it to Doughty any other year, but that year, it hurts because it was point a game Karlsson, right? But sure, Doughty is a fantastic defenseman who probably deserves one at some point because he is much better defensively than Karlsson.
Is that it for your thought? It sounded like you were gonna. It sounded like you were gonna keep talking there. Your tone was like you were gonna make another point. The NHL has a Hart Trophy and an Art Ross Trophy. Those exclusively go to forwards. When's the last time a defenseman won the Hart Trophy? Chris Pronger? Like, that's in 2000, I think?
Yeah, I don't know. We could go off on a tangent.
No, but this is what we're talking about right now. This is what the discourse has been on Twitter all day.
I know.
So this is what we're talking about, Ryan.
Well, I would do it in a heartbeat. That's
no, but like that's the thing that's baffling is that forwards get an Art Ross trophy and a Hart trophy. This year it's going to be won by the same guy, but in past years that hasn't been the case all the time. And although
it's just like
it very frequently is won by the same person, which is another issue with NHL awards.
I know, it's just annoying. Like the argument's always going to be this is just how they've always been. But like, at what point do you change the awards?
Now,
like, didn't the NBA just make slight adjustments?
They added a clutch player of the year award. So if the game is within 5 points with less than 5 minutes, who was the best player in that sort of time window?
Okay.
And it's really interesting because it's going to be the guy who's likely going to win is De'Aaron Fox, and he's never even made an All-NBA team. So he's just like the super clutch guy. He's going to make an All-NBA team this year, but it's kind of a cool award. And what else did they change?
Well, like, I love the NBA's. This is a kind of a tangent, a little off topic, but I love the NBA's most improved.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. That it's so.
Who would that be this year? Do you think Stützle or Jack Hughes? It'd be one of the two.
I don't think it's Hughes. I don't think it's Hughes.
Shit.
Yeah, stage.
Anyway, and then what I also really like is in the NBA, the all NBA teams actually matter.
What about Barrett Hayton?
Let me see what he's done.
Sorry, I thought you might know his stuff.
I do not.
He's been like on borderline point per game with Clayton Keller over the past like 30 games.
Okay, there's a lot of
after people completely wrote him.
There's a lot of Haytons. Okay, here it is. He's got 43 points in 81 games. See, like that's not enough to win it for me.
Maybe not.
In the NBA, it's very much like who went from like star/starter to superstar, not who went from shitty prospect to solid NHL player. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
But but in the other thing too is in the NBA, obviously they do it a lot differently in that awards have a significant like contract structure is impacted by awards. So if you win an MVP or whatever, you're eligible for more money. But
they also just put in the stipulation that you have to play so many games.
Yeah, so that I was going to get to that too. But so in the NBA, they also have these things called the All NBA team. So they have a first, second, and third best, a third team. So they have like the best at a position, second best, third best, and it actually matters. Like that's considered for like Hall of Fame qualification. That's considered for contracts, eligibilities, etc. Like, can you tell me who was on the first NHL team last year? Because they do it. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it should matter, but it doesn't because they just don't care about their own awards. It's I don't know.
Do they actually?
Yeah, they do. There's a first like all NHL team from last year. Like Matthews was the first team center. McDavid was the second team. I think Marner was on the first team as well. Makar and Yossi. Like they do it. It just nobody cares.
That's a joke.
Like you know what I like? Yeah, it is a joke.
Yeah, I'm like a top 0.1% NHL fan, and I didn't know that really.
Yeah, they do it, and it just doesn't matter. And so,
and like I think that should. I love that it's a benchmark like that in the NBA because you should be able to look down and say, "Boom, this person was 1, 2, 3 best of their position in this year." Like I think that's a cool thing to look down. It's
extremely cool, and it's really good for like painting a picture to remember what a season was. Like, remember who was good in what year and who had a breakout year, who had a career year, just stuff like that. That's what the NHL's lacking.
Yeah.
One final note on the Norris Trophy. Would you add, so since we've been talking about Carlson, we mentioned adding like an offensive defenseman, like most points award for defensemen. Would you rather see that or a best defensive defenseman award and then keep the Norris the same? Or would you rather add both? Because, again, forwards have all three.
I would
forwards have all three. Like, let's get some awards for defensemen. It's actually a joke.
Yeah.
There's one award to acknowledge defensemen every year, and there's 3 to acknowledge forwards. You got the Art Ross, the Hart, and the Selke.
And there's 2 for goaltenders.
Yes, the Jennings and the Vezina. Like, just get some more awards for defensemen. I don't understand why there aren't. Like, just make an award. Like, who cares? There's too many good defensemen to have all these guys going their careers without having any hardware. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's
Anyway,
rattle off
one
sorry.
other. Before I was literally gonna do the same thing, but I want to bring up one other like really major milestone that I forgot to text you
Okay.
too, but I have written down. In the last couple days, I don't remember exactly what night it was, but Crosby hit 1,500
Yes, that is
points.
a big one.
That's a
Yeah.
huge
He's
one.
like what, the 14th player ever to do that, I think.
Yeah, that's like it was. It's just it's crazy to think about now that Crosby has 1,500 points. Like I don't know, I just associate him with like the startings of my hockey
Yeah.
fandom, and now he has
Me too.
1,500 points.
Well, because like he was Sid the Kid to
Crazy.
us. If you're 12
Yeah,
years old
yeah.
now, you don't know what Sid the Kid means, right?
Not
Which is
really,
kind of
no.
crazy. Um,
Yeah,
and the other thing too is he's missed so many games in his career, like in his prime too.
so
Like
many
in his
games.
prime, he missed games. Like he played, I think the number was like 50
Yeah,
some games in his age 26, 27 season. Like that's between 2 years. He played like
like
53 games
yeah,
total in his like that is smacked up. That's like McDavid
yeah.
playing 53 games in the next 2 seasons.
Like him and Ovechkin are pretty dead even in points, but I think he has like two to some. I think it's like
It's a
200
lot.
some last
It's a
games
lot.
played or
It is a
something. Yeah,
lot. It's like multiple seasons
yeah.
worth. Okay, let's
Mm,
rattle through these. We don't need to touch on all of them. We can kind
sure.
of like pick where we want to go here. Matthew Tkachuk set a career high with 105 points. Bruins break the single season wins record with 63 with 2 games left to play. We'll circle back to that one for sure. McDavid crossed the 150 point plateau. Only player, or no, was he the 4th player ever? Because I think Yzerman's done it too. Or was it just Lemieux and Gretzky?
I think it's first since
Okay.
'93.
I'm not sure. He's like,
Yeah,
there's less than
something like
5 that have
that.
ever done it. Jason
Yeah,
Robertson, Mikko Rantanen both hitting 100 points. McKinnon 100 points. Nugent Hopkins 100 points. Rantanen also hit 50 goals. David Pasternak hit 60 goals. So I think
yep.
maybe we'll go to Bruins in a sec. I kind of want to mention how hilarious I think it is that last year when Matthews was chasing 60 goals, it was this massive thing. Everyone was paying attention to it, which is natural, right? Like it's Toronto media, that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
But it was this huge struggle for like the best goal scorer of what will be this generation, hitting 60 goals in his Hart Trophy season. And McDavid hit 60 goals like 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks, whatever it was. Pasternak hit 60 goals, and I think I saw like 1 or 2 posts about it.
I definitely could have missed
Yeah,
it. I think I did miss it the night of, and I saw it probably the
yeah,
next
like
morning.
it's actually insane how high scoring is this season. But it's really
Yeah,
funny that after sort of Matthews sparked, I guess, the Matthews versus McDavid debate, and there was a case to be made, and a lot of
it's
models
over.
had Matthews over McDavid last year, and then this year, just McDavid comes out, throws up the finger, I'm better than everyone, it's not even close, and even Pasternak scoring at a more prolific rate than Matthews
Yeah,
did.
yeah. It's a combination of both McDavid saying like "screw you, I'm the best," and I'm so curious how hurt Matthews is. Like, I wonder if he comes back next year fully healthy, what kind of numbers he
Well, because
puts
he's been
up.
rolling
Like,
lately,
I'm
right?
so yeah. Like he's I don't know if he's finally really turned a corner with whatever is nagging him, but um, like he's really ramped up in the last month or two. Which is good for them heading into playoffs, and Tampa's kind of seeming to be headed the other way. So that's a conversation for a different day. But
So
yeah,
David Pasternak has 396 shots on goal this season, which is a lot.
holy
That's a lot of
crap,
shots. Um,
that's a lot of shots.
if you had to guess, so Alexander Ovechkin has played. What is this? This is his 18th season in the NHL. David Pasternak's present year shot total would rank fifth on Ovechkin's career shots in a season rank. What is
That's
can try to ballpark what Ovechkin's career high for shots in a season is? That
518.
was so close. 528. I thought you were gonna say
wow.
something in like the mid fours, and I was gonna just break your brain by saying 528 shots.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling you were leading me that was a crazy number, so I wanted to go 5.
That's an average of 6.44 shots per game. That is absolutely insane. I wish I didn't tell you where Pasternak's current season ranked for OV. I wish I would have just asked you what his career high was.
Yeah,
kind of gave it away.
Definitely gave it away.
I did still think your number would have started with a 4 though. 530 shots is mental. That is mental.
Crazy. Also, just going back to the 100-point scores for a minute. I'm not sure what exactly the number is, but I saw somebody tweet out that I think we're currently at 10 100-point scores, and we're like getting close to as many as we had in all of the 2010s, if not already.
Seriously?
I can't find the exact.
There's 10 right now, 100-point scores, and probably going to be 2, potentially even 3 more. Jack Hughes still has 2 games left to play. He's at 96. Marner and Pettersson are both at 99. That being said, Marner's not playing tonight against Tampa. So Pettersson probably gets there. Marner might, depending, not sure. He also sat a game last week due to rest. So
I found the tweet, but they never really said what the number is. So alas, we may never know.
Tage Thompson likely gets there too if he stays healthy for the full year. He's played 76 games. He's at 93 points. Has anyone else missed a bunch of games? Panarin? No, he's at 81. Braden Point, did he get hurt? No, he's at 80. Braden Point, 50 goal scorer, not a big deal. Or no, he's at 49. Needs one more. That'd be a kind of an out of nowhere cool one.
Yeah.
Damn. How many guys could get to 50? Point's probably the only guy left with a shot, unless Tage goes berserk and scores 4 goals in a game, which he absolutely could. Braden Point likely to be the last 50 goal scorer, which would give a nice even 5 50 goal scores this year. It'd be.
There was.
I was just going to say, last thought about this whole goal scoring thing. We kind of need to see McDavid score 2 more goals in his last 2 games to surpass Ovechkin's career high of 65. He's at 60. He's at 64 right now. That'd be kind of a neat one.
Yeah, and then I was just going to say we had one more big game milestone too. Steven Stamkos hit 1,000 games.
Yes.
Was that last night or 2 nights ago? But yeah,
1,000 games. Oh yeah, that was on Saturday.
Yeah,
I think.
No,
not against Ottawa. It was in Tampa. I have no idea.
No. Yes, 1,001 was against.
Okay,
Ottawa,
so the one before that, yeah, because I remember they did a whole sort of Stamkos thing on Sportsnet, and they were talking about how. I think it was Jeff Merrick was talking about how it was crazy at one point. It was always what could be with Stamkos, or we were looking at his career as one of those what could have been, and now it's just it all happened, and now he's first ballot Hall of Famer, just crazy.
And before we get off the points thing, I just want to circle back to one player that I want to talk about for a second. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has 100 points.
Yeah, Is that the most random one? That's got to be the most random one.
Yeah, it's got to be the most random one. There's no chance there's a more random one. The other one that I have on my list that would come close is Ransom.
Or Robertson. What did he do last year? I know Robertson was sick last year, but I don't know if it was 100 points sick. He had 79 last year. But that he was still young and developing, he's 23. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' previous career high was 69 points, and that was 4 years ago. He had 50 points in 63 games last year. He was under a point a game significantly, and he's over doubled his point output from last year.
I have to find it, but he was such a it's impressive, but he was such a power play merchant. This
over
year
half
too.
of his points. 52 power play points.
Is it over half? I wanted to say over half, but I didn't have it in front of me to verify.
52 points, 103 points. 52 power play points, 103 points. Also, sneakily, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I'm calling it right now, is going to hit 1,000 points in his career. He's at 631, and he's 29. He has 7 years left on that contract.
Yeah.
Like, he needs 50 points a season
Also,
for the rest of the contract
like,
just to get there.
Yeah,
He's going to.
That's crazy. You know what he's going to? Yeah, that's a weird thought.
That is a weird thought because, like, I look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as being like one of the more underwhelming first overall picks in my lifetime. Like,
yeah, and to think there's been less than 100 players in NHL history to put up 1,000 points, and he's gonna do it within the next. What did you say? Like,
I don't know if he keeps scoring 100 points a season, it'll be in 2029. But like,
well, he's not going to do that,
or not even like 2027. But I don't know if he has
his production will fall off when McDavid.
Well, yeah.
leaves.
So let's say another 2 more seasons. Let's say it's closer to 80 points than 100. Maybe even say 70. That puts him at 770 in the next 2 years, and then in McDavid's walk year, put up another 60 or 70. Like all of a sudden, you're at 8. Let's call it 850. Let's say you put up 200 points in the next 3 years. You're at almost 850. And then you have another 4 years on that contract, 3 years on that contract in Edmonton. And then, unless you retire, but at that point, he'll only be 36. So, I don't know. Like, is that not wild to think about that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? I don't know. So, it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Also, McDavid is kind of like weirdly close to it.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
For what I would think.
Oh,
he's weirdly close.
It's stupid. Like,
yeah, like, ew. I don't have it in front of me.
I'm bringing it up,
but I think
he's at 848. He might do it next year.
Yeah,
like guaranteed, he's going to be at 1,000 points in the year of 2024. Yeah, because he'll either hit it next season or at the start of 24-25.
Like that's terrifying. That guy just got into the league in my eyes.
That guy's 16.
Yeah. Like, I've been hearing about him since he was 14.
Did he not just get exceptional status like last
Toronto
year? Did he not just get exceptional status last year? Like, fuck off. Like, that's insane. Yeah, I thought it was 850 already. 848 points for Connor McDavid is absolutely insane. What's Draisaitl at? Now that we're just rolling through this, Draisaitl's at 740.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, Boston. Let's wrap up the show on this. Boston gets to 63 wins, setting the outright single-season wins record, surpassing the 18-19 Lightning and like the 1977 Montreal Canadiens. And in their last 2 games, they could remove sort of, I think they're at that points record too, aren't they? Is it 131 for points in a season? I'm not sure. I think it's right around there. Anyway, looking at a team's win total and seeing the number 12 is like ridiculous. Like we've never seen that before.
Yeah, I assume you meant lost.
What did I say? I said win total. That's funny. Okay, yeah, loss total at 12 is insane.
Yeah, it's especially when I like looking back, I was so dead set they were just done. Like, it's so funny. It's comical.
I had them out of the playoffs. Back.
Yeah, so did I. 100%. I'm pretty sure we posted a clip like last summer where I was like very strongly saying they're done. They are out. So here they are, just naturally setting the NHL record.
So I have this weird thing in my brain, and we can probably wrap up the show with this, unless you have anything else to add after. I have this weird...
I got a few more things I want to throw at you.
A few more things?
Afterwards.
Okay. I have this weird thing in my brain where I associate certain like totals or records or whatever with a certain number. So let me just take you for a ride here. If a hockey game is played and both teams score more than 5 goals, I think it's weird. If you win 7-6, it's weird. If you win 7-5, it's just it's a crazy game.
I agree. So
that's an example. If a team loses in regulation less than 15 games in a season, in my brain, that does not compute, because in my life, the lowest win-loss total, not win-loss total, regulation loss total is the 09-10 Washington Capitals, who went 54, 15, and 13, which actually isn't quite as good as it sounds because of the 13 overtime losses, but the 15 regulation losses is like what's in my brain as like the bare minimum. And not only is Boston going to be like 2 or 3 wins below that at least, or no, 2 or 3 wins below that. They've only got 5 overtime losses. Like, this team is going to lose like 18 games max this season. And that Washington team lost 28 games.
Yeah, I would think they have the best chance at breaking this President's Trophy / elite regular season team curse. Just because of the fact that they have so many regulation wins and just nobody was really able to beat them in regulation. Like that is so dominant, and that is playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Like, there is no rinky-dink extra point here, play to OT garbage.
Yeah.
Like, there's none of that. It's play to the whistle of 60 minutes, and then like it's still 5-on-5 after that. So that's a big indicator to me why they could do massive damage in the playoffs. But then it's hockey, and who fucking knows?
Points in a season, Montreal Canadiens, 1976, 1977, 132 in an 80-game schedule. Okay? Their record that year was 68 and 12. So that's 60-8 losses - 12 ties, just so that there's not some misconstrue of the 68. Second is now Boston, tied with the 95-96 Red Wings at 131. Detroit played 82 games that year. Boston's still only at 80. So Boston is, in all likelihood, going to surpass the single-season points record. They will not surpass the single-season points percentage record. But still crazy. Tampa a couple years ago almost tested my 15 regulation losses or more theory or sort of mindset. They had 16 that year. They went 62, 16, and 4. That was Tampa 4 years ago before getting swept by Columbus. Can you imagine if Boston gets swept this year? Or loses before the conference final? Like, can you imagine the storyline?
It's going to happen.
Can you imagine if they lose to the freaking New York Islanders or whatever, or the more likely scenario of they pummel whatever team that is and then lose to either the like on their last leg hanging by a thread Tampa Bay Lightning or the never done anything before, this is the first time they would ever do anything Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, either of those,
especially against
Boston, like, it would be absurd. Like, if this team doesn't make it to at least the conference final, it's going to be mind-blowing.
Massive disappointment. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, throw some stuff at me. I want to go watch the Blue Jays home opener.
All right. So we had a couple college hockey things happen. Matthew Nyes signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Luke Hughes signed with the New Jersey Devils, and he, I believe, is in the lineup tonight for the first Hughes brothers game. So that should be fun to watch. Adam Fantilli won the Hobey Baker as expected, being the best player in college hockey. Pierre Dorion announced that they would be qualifying or giving DeBrincat his qualifying offer.
Interesting.
No matter what, by the drafts or
whenever that would be.
I don't know why I added that part. Yeah, whenever it would be. So that, I don't know. We can talk about that maybe next pod.
We can talk about in the summer.
Another headline. Yeah, another headline that we can definitely keep for next pod, but I want to get on your radar that I saw was apparently the Blue Jackets GM Kekalainen, I believe it is, said he's extremely open to trading the Kings pick.
The Kings pick?
Yeah.
It's going to be what, in the 20s probably? Interesting. Well, because that's a team that's they didn't plan a tank this year, so I would expect that they get their top 5 pick and come back next year trying to. They won't make the playoffs next year, but just be better. So I could see that.
But in a good first round, which is kind of expected, I feel like that's going to get a decent player back if that's what they're trying to do with it. So it's an interesting thing that could happen.
Do you think, let's say it's the 21st overall pick, do you think they could get Seth Jones with that pick? Who says no? Who says no? Who says no? Cole Sillinger, the Los Angeles Kings 2023 first round pick and David Jiricek for Seth Jones. Who says no?
It's hilarious saying all those names together.
Because all those guys were
so
like
funny.
Seth Jones draft or trade tree guys. Like David Jiricek, the pick that became David Jiricek was from Seth Jones.
God, Columbus is going to be so good.
Oh, I hope so. All right. I was looking ahead at the schedule. The NHL draft lottery is when is it? May 8th? May 8th at 7 p.m. on Monday. I will be glued to my television. We should stream for that. Okay, let's wrap up the pod. But yeah, we should like do a stream for that, or like record ourselves reacting,
or at least like live reaction.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Hit the outro unless you have anything else. Episode 20, a lot of milestones. We still went 45 minutes. Wanted to keep it short. I'm missing the first inning. It's fine.
My apologies.
As I say that, my brother comes downstairs because he got booted from the upstairs TV because the Leafs game just started.
Nice hat, Mitch.